Hello everyone, I am Inediti in this moment in the beta grid of Second Life, and I am here to experiment with the PBR materials. This moment I want to show you what people created here using the PBR materials, and in this region you can find several objects that people made experimenting with the PBR materials. I am in a region named material, so if you open the map and you simply type material in the region name space, you can easily find this region, and you can find easily also other regions where you can experiment the PBR materials. I strongly suggest you to come here and to take a look about what people made experiment with the PBR materials, because it's really interesting to see how the PBR materials works and the effects that you can see in eWorld experimenting with this great new that you will be able to see in the following weeks in Second Life also. So, for example, the most important news that you can see experiment with the PBR materials is the mirror effect. And if you see here, for example, here you can see a mirror. Let's see here. Okay, here you can see a mirror, and you can see the sky and the clouds reflected in the mirror. There is also a skybox that you can see in the mirror, and the mirror effect is really impressive. It's very cool and realistic in my opinion. Okay, so in this video I am going to show you how to use the PBR material, and in particular I am going to show you how I create a PBR material for one of my dress that I have just created using ZBrush. If you saw some of my previous tutorials about how to create clothes in Second Life, you know that I used Marvelous Designer. Actually, I don't use Marvelous Designer anymore, because Marvelous Designer is a great software to create clothes, but I think that is particularly heavy, and I prefer to use actually ZBrush to create clothes. ZBrush is an incredible software. You can use several brushes, so you can customize your clothes as you wish, and you have really good possibilities with this software, so don't hesitate to use it and to experiment with it. Of course, you can create clothes also using Blender. Blender is another great alternative to Marvelous Designer, but is a bit long the process to create clothes. In any case, I have created clothes also using Blender, and if you know the process, you will become very fast also using Blender, or for example using some plugin for Blender as Retopology is. Okay, so let's jump to Substance Painter to create your first PBR material, and I have to say that I use Substance Painter to create textures for my clothes, and Substance Painter is an incredible software and is the Photoshop for 3D objects. So I suggest to use Substance Painter. You have to use Substance Painter to create PBR materials. I know that several designers use Photoshop to create the textures for the dresses using the maps, but honestly I don't think this is my preferred solution, so I much more prefer to use Substance Painter. It's much more faster and is much more cool in my opinion. Okay, so let's jump to Substance Painter and follow me in this step-by-step guide to create PBR materials for a dress. Okay, so we are in Substance Painter, and now we need to create our first PBR material for a dress. The first thing that you need to do is to import your low poly dress. So, for example, if you have created a low poly dress and an high poly dress, the first thing that you need to do in Substance Painter is to import your low poly dress, and later you need to bake the textures importing your high poly mesh. Okay, it's not an obligation to bake textures using an high poly mesh, so you could, for example, use just a low poly mesh, and it's okay, it's not a problem. So let's see how to import our low poly mesh. The first thing that you need to do is to go here in File, go to New, or simply press Ctrl N, and here in the template section you need to select this one, PBR Metallic Roughness Alpha Test Starter Assets, or for example this one, PBR Metallic Roughness Alpha Blend. So one of these two options. I usually use this one. And now here in File you need to select your low poly mesh. In my case, my low poly mesh is this one, Dress Low. Okay, and now here in Document Resolution you have to select this setting, because it's much better if you don't want to see blur texture in Second Life when you import the PBR materials. So use these settings, and here you can use OpenGL in normal map format. Okay, select also this option, compute tangent space per fragment, and now you can leave all the other settings as they are. You don't need to do anything else, and simply press OK. Okay, now we have our low poly mesh. You can see that you have here two layers, sorry, back and front. Back is the UV map for the back of your dress that you can see here, this one, this part, and the front for the front of your dress. Okay, wow, why you see these two layers? Because simply I have put two materials for this dress, one material for the front part and another one material for the back part. This is the reason why you see two materials here, back and front. Okay, to move the camera in the left part of your Substance Painter, simply press Alt and left click on your mouse, and you can move your camera around the dress. Okay. If you want to center your dress, if you move, for example, the camera scrolling the mouse, and it's too far, you can simply press F and your dress is centered again. Okay, now we need to create our first PBR material. Okay, this low poly mesh of course is blank in this moment, and we need to put some textures. We need to bake the high poly mesh. As I told you before, it's not an obligation to bake your high poly mesh. You could, for example, simply use a low poly mesh, and it's okay. In that case, please don't follow the part where I explain how to bake the high poly mesh. You can simply proceed to put your layers where you can add some texture, or you can add other important information for your mesh that we are going to see in a few minutes. But if you have a high poly mesh, it's important that you use it, because especially if you use a ZBrush, you can create really cool high poly details, and so it's important that you can bake the high poly in the correct way. So to bake the high poly, the simply thing that you have to do is going here in texture cell settings and go to bake mesh maps. Okay, click here, and here you have to select the same settings that you have selected in the first project that we have seen before. Now you have to import your high poly mesh here. And now I suggest, for example, to leave this map not selected, ID, because it's not important for our purpose. So you can deselect this option. And scrolling down, you can see anti-aliasing. Anti-aliasing, I suggest, if your PC allows you to do, to select this subsampling 242, because you will see that your textures is much more realistic, much more detailed, and so beautiful in Second Life. Match always, and for the rest part, don't modify anything else. Okay, and now bake select textures. Now Substance Painter is doing the bake process, and as you see, you can see the details that I have made in ZBrush. Okay, let's talk a while about the high poly mesh. In ZBrush you can create easily this high poly mesh using brushes, adding interesting stitches, for example, as I did, and that you can see in here models, this mesh. Okay, and so I suggest to experiment in ZBrush with these brushes, because you can get several important results. For example, here you can see some wrinkles, some stitches. This is really nice to see. Also in Second Life you will see it's really nice. In this part, in the right part, you can see that you have your maps baked, and you have a map that is particularly important, the curvature map, because using the curvature map, putting in a new layer, a new fill layer, you will see that the result is much nicer, in my opinion. So let's go in layers. The first thing that you need to do is to put a texture. So for example, if you could want to simply add a color, or you could simply want to add a texture for this model, and I will show you how to do both. So let's put a texture, for example. Allora, so now we need to create a new fill layer. This is a layer, so we can remove it, add a fill layer here, selecting this fill layer, and now with the fill layer selected, in the properties fill, we need to add the texture. Scroll down until you see the base color. Okay, and now you can select here in the section where textures are, select a texture. For example, I prefer to see just the textures I have imported. So here, instead of select all libraries, I prefer to select your assets. And in this way, I see in the textures section just my textures. Okay, so scroll down. For example, we can use this crazy texture to put here. Okay, you need to put in the base color. Okay, and now we have the texture. Okay, this texture need to be adjusted, so you have to do scroll up and go in tiling and move the mouse on the right a bit so the texture fits better. Okay, and as you see, we have put the texture just on the front part of our mesh. We need to put the texture also in the back part of our mesh. But this is really easy, and for now we want to add some other details to get more realism, especially when you import the PBR materials in Second Life. So, okay, we add a new fill layer again, and with this fill layer, we have in the property fields section, we have to select just the color channel in the material part, because we don't need 8 rough, metal, normal, opacity and emissive. We just need the color part. So in the base color now we have to put the curvature map. So let's go here in the project. Let's jump in the project section, and now we can see our curvature map. We can see the curvature maps for the back side and for the front side. In our case, we are working in the front we are working the front side, so we simply have to select this map and drag and drop in the base color. Okay, now it's darker, and we need to go here in the fill layer and in this option that you can see here, we have selected normal as default, but now we simply select multiply, or we can select overlay. I prefer much more, of course, overlay as a result, especially if you set also the environment, and I strongly suggest to use, of course, also the environment. So let's go here in the environment section, and now, since we have selected just our projects, okay, now we have several environment options. Okay, I suggest you to use this one, soft one front, 2 backs. I do love it. So drag and drop, simply drag and drop in the 3D scene, this environment. And now in the 3D scene, you can press Shift and right click, and you can keeping pressed the right click on the mouse, move around on the right, on the left, until you get the best result for you as lighting reflection. Okay, now we have to fill also the back part, and this part is really easy to do, because we simply have to go to our fill layer, select the first one, select pressing Shift the second one, and now click Ctrl C and go to back, and here in the layers section you can remove this one and Ctrl V, so you can paste the layers. And now we have our dress completely textured. Okay, now we have to export these textures, this material, as PBR. How we can do this? It's really easy to do. So we need to go in the File, Export Textures, or press Ctrl Shift and D, and then you have to do, you can leave this settings if you like, or you can choose another folder that you prefer to export your PBR materials. And now you can here select PBR metallic roughness. No, you have to select an option that has also the GITF PBR metal roughness. So we need this one, this option, GTF PBR metal roughness. In this part size you can leave this based on each texture set size, and in the padding I suggest use dilation plus default background color and 16 here in this part in pixels. Okay, now export. Now open your output directory here, and we have our PBR materials. This one, especially this one, is the one that you have to upload in Second Life. So now let's jump in Second Life and let's upload all of these materials. Okay, I have already imported my DAE file, DAE file. You simply have to export your mesh from Blender, for example, as a DAE file. If the mesh you have to import is a dress, of course you have to rig this before, and you have to export in DAE file. Okay, now as you see, you can see the two materials that I have put on the dress, the front part and the back part, front side and the back side. And now we have to import our PBR material that we have done. To do this, go to build. This is in Italian language, but this in English is build. And now you have to go to upload on the server, upload to the server, and go to material. You can experiment materials just in beta grid, in the beta grid, and in a region where materials are enabled. So be sure to are in a region where materials are enabled, because you can risk to ruin an object that you have created with a PBR material if you try to modify it in a region where PBR materials aren't enabled, okay? So be sure that you are in a region where PBR materials are enabled. Okay, now I have to import one of my PBR material. Okay, now let's start build, upload to the server, material, choose your of course your settings, your folder where you have the PBR material saved. Okay, now you have two files here, two 3D objects, but you can see that the dimension of this one is much more of the other one, so you have to choose the first one, first object. So select this one, and you can see here to open. Now when you open this window, you have to scroll down here and select bulk upload all, and now press OK. Okay, you can see that you have to pay here 80 linden and upload. Wait a while until you upload your material. Okay, all done. Now let's go to your inventory in recent material, and now you have your material here. For the rest part is exactly the same as a texture, so select your model, modify, edit, and then go to texture. Be sure here is selected material, this is important. And now select the correct face, so the first one. Take the front part, the front material. This material is for the front side, so drag and drop to the front. Okay, and now let's go to the back, select the face in the back side, drag and drop the back material. Okay, perfect. And now we have our dress made with PBR material. Okay, to see, I think that I can see well the stitches and the wrinkles here. So I am pretty satisfied of the result. Yes, stitches are fine here. Of course, if you select Ctrl, if you press Ctrl plus P, and in the graphic settings you select a good value here for your graphic. If your graphic cards allows you to set either values here, it's of course much better the result. In my case, in the advanced settings, I have selected for the mesh, for the object, height as value here, and I think I have anti-aliasing 4, but of course in that case the PC could lag, maybe not here because you can't find many people or heavy objects, but in any case, for example in Second Life, I can't use these advanced settings in this way because otherwise the lag would be really too much for me. Okay, that's all. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, guys, and I hope to see your PBR materials in Second Life soon, and I am happy if you want to share with us in the comment section of this video your PBR materials important. Bye bye!